Hello there, Brendan Wrongway Corrigan here with Wrongway's Colombia cast. Now, considering the severe restrictions on movement here in Colombia, it seems somewhat strange to be talking about tourism in any sort of positive light. But that's what we're going to do. Indeed, many of us are in need of some get up and go right now, so in a bid to find just that, virtually as it is, we're talking to Luisa Romero, co-founder of Get Up and Go Colombia, an organisation that promotes tourism in some of the regions that have been most affected by the armed conflict here. Luisa, thanks for joining us from the beautiful city of Popayán, my first ever place to stay in Colombia, actually, all the way back in 2009, and shockingly I haven't returned. It is on my list to get back there. But first of all, can you tell us exactly what Get Up and Go Colombia is about and how it may differ to other travel and tour companies here?
Hi, Brandon. Thanks so much for the invitation. It's such a pleasure for me to share with all of you about Colombia and those places that are full of magic and full of people that you can actually have an amazing experience. Get Up and Go Colombia is a local NGO. What we do is that we promote tourism in the regions that were affected by the Colombian armed conflict. And we do that through activities and projects. So basically, our purpose is to empower the communities that were strongly affected by those years living in fear and experiencing all the consequences of a conflict, and that now are ready to share the kind of stories with people from all over the world. So what we do is we help them to develop these kind of initiatives, like tourist initiatives, where you can explore those places that because of the conflict some years ago were not possible to visit, but now, thanks to the peace agreement signed in 2016, it's possible to visit, and it's an amazing experience to get to know these real stories of resilience and story telling in a different way.
Yeah, so you actually have ex-combatants, people who were fighting in the internal conflict, so ex-guerrilla, paramilitaries, all that kind of thing. They're involved in this as well?
Yeah, we have a mix of people. So we work with survivors of the armed conflict that also have to face a lot of issues over here. So for example, at the moment we have a project that is called Peace Guides. So what we are doing is that we are empowering 10 women that were affected by the conflict. So they were displaced from the original town and they moved from those areas to the main city, to Popayán, in order to try to find a new opportunity of life. But the problem is that as they have been living in the countryside for many years or for all their life, so they don't have any kind of skills to find a formal job. So what we are doing during the last year and a half is to train them in English, train them how to be a tour guide, and how to tell their story in a positive way, because these people have overcome their previous past in positive stories. So at the moment they are leaders, they are leading their own organizations as well, and they're promoting peace building in Cauca or in Colombia. So in Popayán, the city, we have some beautiful murals, like street art murals. And the idea is that they will be able to share their personal stories, but also to connect about the positive side of everything that happened in Colombia and in Cauca. We have different projects that basically our idea is to give an opportunity through tourism. And at the same time, we have done some activities with former combatants that at the moment are in the process of reintegration in the city. So some of them, they have productive projects of coffee. Other of them, they have projects in different kind of handicrafts. So our idea is to connect all of these kind of initiatives to be able to show people that you can do tourism in order to contribute to peace building and to contribute to the socio-economic development in a region that were strongly affected by the conflict in Colombia.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that you mentioned tourism as a peace building mechanism or initiative, because in a sense this isn't just a tour operator, as I might have said at the beginning in my introduction. You are a non-governmental organization, so it's that linking of tourism and also peace building that people can find a way through that to change their lives for the better.
Yeah, exactly. So we have two lines. So from one side, we empower the community to develop these tourism initiatives, and from the other side, we promote the activities that they developed. So as an example of that, we have a project that at the moment is being funded by USAID. It's called Tourism for Tambo. Tambo is a municipality in Cauca, but it's also one of the most affected municipalities in the region because it used to have one of the highest numbers of illegal crops in Colombia. And right now, there are like a big part of the community that have replaced illegal crops into legal activities. So, for example, some of them, they have replaced those illegal crops into organic crops. And some of them, they are growing coffee. Others are growing avocado, chontaduro. I don't know if you know what chontaduro is. It's like a kind of mix of sweet potato, but a little bit salty. It's typical from this region. So they are doing that. And also there are like a big interest in the extreme sports. So some of them are developing canoeing activities like canoeing waterfalls.
Yeah.
So you can go there and just like enjoy this landscape surrounded by mountains and by water and these amazing waterfalls. So what we are doing there is that we are training the community in topics as English. We are teaching them how to be like a tourism operators, like how to offer like the services to the community. And the idea is also to articulate all the actors in Tambo, in order that if you decided to go to Tambo, you will find all the things that you need to stay there. So, for example, you can have many activities to do there, but you can also stay in some glamping that are being developed there, and you can stay in farms that have organic
produce and stuff. Yeah.
Organic foods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a really nice way to experience tourism in a different way. This project is with the purpose to help the people that are replacing illegal crops in a volunteering way. So they decided to just change life path and start from something new and something legal, and most important, to contribute to peace building. So we're going to finish that project next year on March. And from March, we hope to start like promoting all the activities and the different like tours that you can take to El Tambo in El Cauca. So that's like an example about what we do there. So we empower the community and then we promote what they developed.
And I'm right in saying you said you've been on the go for a year and a half. Is that correct?
As an organization, we started in 2016.
Okay.
And in that specific project in El Tambo, we started last year on August. And in the project of Peace Guides, we started that in 2018, at the end of 2018.
Okay, so you've a few years at it. The reason I was asking is that from the information you sent me, you seem to have won a lot of awards. So you've been recognized by various organizations for the work you do. So you've obviously got off to a very good start in the region.
Yeah, so we started in 2016, and since then we have done a lot of activities and projects. At the moment, we have 3 current projects that is called Peace Guides, El Tambo, like tourism for El Tambo. We also are working in an initiative that is called Verdamai. It's a kind of peace cafe. So our goal was to open that cafe on April, but because of the COVID, everything we don't know when we will be able to open it. But the idea of Verdamai, the Peace Cafe, is that we want to showcase the products that are being produced by victims and by former combatants in the region of Cauca. So it will work as a kind of visitor center where tourists can come here, can enjoy a really good coffee, a coffee of peace. We call that like it's a coffee from peace because, again, this coffee is being grown in some areas that before of the coffee used to have like illegal crops. So it's a kind of replacement. And our idea is to contribute to that, to promote that people here are working for peace building, because sometimes in Colombia, they think that the victims of the former combatants are not doing anything, or they are just expecting the government to give them everything. And it's not like that. I mean, when you come here and you realize that they are working really hard to continue to have an opportunity for them and for their families, that your perception change. And that's the thing that we want to showcase in this coffee place. And we hope to open it soon, as soon as the COVID ends. And the third project that we did is called Cauca 360. So this project aims to showcase these regions that before was not possible to visit, but now, thanks to the peace agreement and the security, is safe to go. And it's areas where you can find a lot of biodiversity. You can find people full of energy, full of like passion about what they do. And we did the first pilot project with Silvia. Silvia is a town in Cauca. It's just 1 hour away from Popayan. And in Silvia, you will find the indigenous community in Misak. They have an absolutely amazing way to see life. They have their own hospital based on medicinal like plants. They also have a museum where they can explain you what is their perception of life, what is their region. You can also learn about the traditional handicrafts that they do, like how they produce like different handicraft. And that place is so nice because every Tuesday they also have a market, an indigenous market. So they have a special attire which is very colorful. It's blue, and when they go to the market, those colors combine in just one. So you can see all the colors of the fruits, the vegetables combined to the attire. The indigenous community is just a fantastic experience. So we did that through virtual reality and 360 photography. It's available to visit online. And we did that 2 years ago, but we never expected that one day it will be like this. I mean, we never expected to be so like strong as it is now, because now with all this lockdown, people are looking to have like virtual tours or doing this kind of experiences that we were like, oh, we already had it. So it was really nice, and we expect to do the same for different municipalities in Cauca, but also in Colombia. And yeah, so that's like the kind of 4 projects that we have at the moment. And because of all of this work and the impact that we have done during the last 4 years, we have been recognized by different like national and international awards. And for us, it's been like a really powerful motivation to keep moving forward, because sometimes when you are like so young, like with no experience at all, and some like little victories, like this kind of international, national recognitions, is just a strong motivation for us to keep moving forward and to keep showing that young people can make the difference. And yeah, until the moment we have impacted over 20,000 people, including international and national tourists, including local volunteers, but also international volunteers, the communities we work with, and also local businesses.
Okay, well done. And yeah, of course, the future of this country and the world indeed is in the hands of the youth. So hopefully it is in good hands in that respect. But mentioning the virtual tours, for sure, you're ahead of the game on that. So you're already established, which is a good thing. And I must mention coronavirus and the current pandemic. Obviously, most of what you do is focused around tourism. So are you worried like that it looks like Colombia might not see any sort of foreign tourists of significance for the rest of the year? Will that badly impact on what you're doing there, or do you have the resources to get through all this?
Yeah, it has impacted, of course, all the tourism sector in Cauca, especially like different agencies and tour operators. In our case, we have been also affected, but I think it has been also a moment to rethink and to design like new initiatives and new strategies. So, for example, we are working really hard to improve our website. At the same time, we are developing like a new marketing strategy. And it has been really nice because we also have reached international volunteers that are working in a remote way. So that was a surprise for us. So we have people from the UK, from Germany, from France, Belgium, helping us from the distance. And I think that it has been a really nice way to be close, even if we are just a lot of kilometers far away. Mm-hmm. But we are still moving forward to improve like our operations. And even if we don't see tourists this year, we are ready to be better, to improve ourselves and our services for next year. So that is what we are working at the moment. And also we are working to develop some virtual experiences where people can learn non-conventional topics from non-conventional people. So what we're doing is that we expect to launch very soon this kind of lessons, virtual lessons, when you can learn from a former combatant or from a victim or from an indigenous community, like topics that probably you won't find in the books.
Okay.
So that's our
Yeah,
initiative that we are working at the moment.
well, you're keeping busy anyway. That's good to hear. The devil makes work for idle hands, as we say in English. But those virtual volunteers from abroad, so just briefly, are they helping in terms of digital content and things like that, or how exactly? Because I'm sure there might be people interested in helping out if they can as well.
Yeah, they're helping us in all the digital work. So basically, some of them are helping us with the marketing strategy. Some of them are helping us also with the development of the new website. Some of them are helping us in we are strongly connected with the Sustainable Development Goals. So right now we are doing a kind of big research and very specific research about how our projects are contributing to those goals. So we also have volunteers helping us with that. And yeah, the idea is that if more people want to volunteer with us, I mean, the doors are always open. Before the pandemic, we received a lot of international volunteers as well in the organization. And actually in our office, we developed like a nice room with a private bathroom and everything. Everything was ready to have new volunteers this year. But the pandemic came, and now that room is basically lonely in the office. But yeah, we are always happy to have people that wants to learn, that want to develop or to have a little bit of experience or just learning. For example, one of our remote volunteers, she's from Germany, and she was in Colombia like some years ago. She was also in Chocó, which is another of the regions also most affected by the Colombian armed conflict. And when she found us, she was like really happy to support us because she understands the importance to contribute to peace building and to contribute to the socioeconomic development of these vulnerable communities. So yeah, it has been a really nice experience working in a remote way, not only with the local volunteers, but also with international. And yeah, we hope that when everything happens, we can receive more and more people.
Yeah, well, you and the rest of Colombia are hoping that as well. And am I correct in saying that because I take it you receive aid, as you mentioned, from various organizations, that you're not exactly a commercial operator, so it's not too important for you that you're making money, unlike other commercial operators?
Yeah, like as we are an NGO, we have like different lines of funding ourselves. Mm-hmm. So from one way, we are all the time sending applications for grants or for funding from different international organizations, basically based on international cooperation from one side. And also we receive donations like from different like people or tourists that have been here before. And at the same time, when we offer like the tourism services of activities, a big percent of that is directly to the community. So just a small percent goes into the NGO as a way to keep operating our activities. So we have like a mixed model. So I think that's why we are not strongly affected, because our main income is not 100% based on the tours.
Yeah.
So we have other sources of income. But in general, yeah, like the communities, yeah, of course they are affected because, yeah, we don't have tourists, so they don't have like a direct income. And that's why we are thinking of this kind of virtual experiences to being able to offer them a new way to generate income for their families. And yeah, we hope to launch it very soon.
Yeah, of course. You probably don't know this, but I'll ask anyway. Around Popayán in that area, obviously here in Bogota, we're kind of in a bubble in many ways. But have things turned for the worse there in the last few months with the virus and the problems? Because obviously people struggling to make money, out of work, restrictions in movement. I mean, there's a fear that things could return. I'm not saying to the violence that they were of the past, but things could get a little bit uglier. Are you seeing any of that, or do you think that people are just getting on?
In the cities itself, I think it's the same situation as the rest of the cities in Colombia. I mean, some people, are going out to try to find, new ways to generate income or to survive during this crisis. But in the remote areas, I mean, we need to be very specific that Cauca is a big territory. Mm-hmm. So there are some areas that is, for example, 8 hours away, but it's still in the same region. And it's hard to get there because there is not enough infrastructure. So there is no road, there is not like a way that you can go straight to there. So because of that, some of the families that live there, there is no like a proper way to, for example, if they're producing like fruits or agricultural products, it's not easy for them to transport those products to the main city, right? Mm-hmm. So at the moment, in some of those remote areas, is quite difficult because if you don't have a way to transport your products and the pandemic is not allowing that neither, so what is the option there? So I'm quite worried as well because I feel that COVID is in certain way promoting the conflict in some areas where there are like maybe small illegal groups trying to keep moving with the illegal crops and things like that. But that happens in very remote areas where they don't have an easy access together.
Yeah, well, I guess I was going to say the point more than ever now is that it gets the support, the peace process, and these communities that they keep on receiving the support that they've been getting, because as we know, and I'm Irish, and when we'll talk about that in a second because you've got links to Ireland as well, but peace is a very delicate thing, so especially in areas that have a long history of conflict. So any little thing that can disrupt that is dangerous. So I think now more than ever we need to be giving these areas the support.
Yeah, exactly, and especially to support the families that have decided to replace those illegal crops into legal things. So that's why I feel it's really important to keep promoting and to support the communities that are trying their best to not to return to those illegal crops. And also I feel that it's really important to be aware that sometimes we feel that the problem is the countries that produce illegal crops, but sometimes we are not aware that if we consume that, we are also being part of the same conflict, and we are in certain way funding an internal conflict. So I think this is an invitation for the people that like to consume this kind of drug, of cocaine, that think about the origin of this, because sometimes people think that cocaine just is easy to find and that's it, but you're not aware that by consuming this, you're consuming in certain way blood of innocent people that are dying because of this kind of internal conflicts. And I think it's really important to be aware about the origin of the things.
Exactly, Luisa. Well said indeed. Just talking, I mentioned there in passing about your links to Ireland and Northern Ireland specifically, and another conflict zone. Now, I thought talking to you that I might have heard a few Belfast or Northern Irish phrases, but I don't think the Northern Irish accent stuck to you that much. But you did study, you did your masters in Belfast. That's correct?
Yeah, I did my master's in international tourism management in Belfast at Ulster University. It was a fantastic experience because first I had the opportunity to learn from a country that also experienced a conflict. And for me, it was just amazing to see how in the next 20 years after a peace agreement was signed in Northern Ireland, things have changed for the better. So it was a kind of inspirational way to understand, if they can do that, we can also do that in Colombia. So during my time there, I explored as many as possible. I mean, I explained many tours. Some of them led by the by former combatants of the IRA, but also from the UBF. And also I was working in Visit Belfast, which is the local office for promotion of tourism. So I learned a lot about the activities and how it contributes to the economy, and how after like the peace agreement, like people are really interested to visit that city and to visit the country, and to see that it's possible, that it is possible to transform for being a really dangerous area to become one of the most positive and places with a big vibe, or a big, I don't know how to say it, like an active vibe, like a vibrant city.
Oh, yeah, like well, yeah, of course.
Vibrant city. Yeah, and also when I was there, I found a lot of similarities, like a lot of similar things. For example, people in Northern Ireland are very happy. I mean, are very kind and they always have like a good humor. And I think in that way, we are quite similar with Colombians, because we always like to laugh and to smile. And for example, I remember being one day in the bus stop, like waiting for the bus. And suddenly I started talking with the person next to me. And I was like so like impressed, because normally in some countries like that wouldn't happen. I mean, if you don't know directly the person, you wouldn't talk with a stranger. But there in Belfast, it was like always like talking, and people were very interested to get to know where I was from, what I was doing there, why Belfast. Also, it was really nice to see that they were also like quite surprised about a Colombian traveling to Belfast. I mean, they were like, "Why are you here? If you have the mountains and you have nice weather in Colombia, why did you come to Belfast?" And it's like, because Belfast is amazing. I mean, you have such a powerful like landscape. For example, the North Coast. I forget the name.
The Giant's Causeway.
Yeah, the Giant Causeway. Oh, that is absolutely amazing. And I remember like lots of people just looking for tours to visit that place. Also, the Titanic Museum in Belfast was just amazing. I remember that during my studies, we have as a guest the manager from the Titanic Museum. And I remember that she said that from the opening from Titanic Museum, they have had over 5 million tourists visiting the museum. And I was like, wow, like Colombia had in 2018 around 7 million people like visiting the country. And I was like, I can't believe that just a museum have that amount of visitors. And yeah, I was very, very impressed, and I enjoyed a lot my time there.
Yeah, what about though the accent and the way Belfast people speak? Because people do say that it almost sounds as if they're shouting at you or aggressive. I'm guessing you found it that you had to nearly relearn your English living there, did you? Because even when I lived there, I didn't understand some of the Belfast speak.
Yeah, I did. It was like sometimes quite difficult to understand. But I think that people, when they realize that you're not from there, they try to speak a little bit slower and try to make you understand what they're saying. So in that moment, I think that, yeah, I relearned a lot of like English, like slangs and new words. And it was funny because sometimes some of my friends that were from Colombia, but also were doing masters in the UK, they came once to visit me during St. Patrick's Day. And I remember they hear me talking and they were like, "Luisa, you got that Northern Irish accent. You're talking like people from here." And I was like, "What? Really?" But I think that now I quite lose the accent. But yeah, I was lucky because I met a really good people there, and I'm still in contact with most of them. It's funny because I had a connection before going to Belfast. So in Popayan, there is a Scottish man that has been living here for the last 20 years, I think. And when I told him like, "Oh, I'm going to Belfast," he said, "Oh, I have a friend there." So he gave me the contact of this friend in Belfast. And when I contacted him, basically he became into my Irish dad. So Patrick was all the
Okay.
time following up how I was going with university. He was always asking me if everything was okay. And yeah, I found like a second family in Belfast. So
Wonderful, great. I must ask, did you make it down to the Republic of Ireland, or did your visa allow? Because that's a bit of a controversial issue or a delicate subject at the moment. Did you make it down?
yeah, to the delicate topic. Yeah, like I went only once, but actually twice.
Okay.
I went to Dublin just for a quick visit and also for a quick because from the time that I went there, I was working with a local NGO in Belfast, so my boss needed to go to Dublin. But that was once, and then I went to Donegal because
Okay. Just
basically
over the border. Yep.
my foster sister she lives in Donegal, so I just went to visit her with Patrick. But during my time working in Business Belfast, like the tourism office, a lot of like people, like I met a lot of Colombians actually going to visit Belfast, and they didn't know that they needed a visa to go to Dublin. And some of them, they have actually flight tickets from Dublin to other countries. So I remember like we called many times the consul from Colombia in London, I think, and in Dublin, like calling for information if it was true that they needed an actual visa. And yeah, it was like a common problem.
It's an issue that I know the Irish embassy, now that we have an Irish embassy here in Colombia, they're trying to work on that you don't need, because I know some Indians and Chinese, I think they just need, if they have a UK visa, they can visit the Republic and vice versa. So I think we're trying to get something similar. It's something I've written about in my blog in El Tiempo as well. Hopefully the Irish embassy is listening, and the Irish minister with responsibility of for this, and he can get it sorted out. Finally, to wrap this up, I see that you visited, or met the Dalai Lama. So for somebody who's working now in peace-related initiatives, that must have been very interesting. Where did that happen?
Yeah, well, that was like, I think that has been the most amazing experience I have had so far in my life, because it was thanks to a program led by the United States Institute of Peace. And they have a program that is called Change Exchange Generation with His Holiness Dalai Lama. So it's a program
Okay.
oriented to young peace builders from all over the world that are working on peace building initiatives. So I remember when I saw like the call for application for this program, I was like, wow, that looks really nice, but I feel this is quite difficult to get access to that or to be selected for that. So I just sent like the work that we were doing in Colombia, like how we were using tourism as a tool for peace building. And then I got selected. So in Colombia, we were only 3 Colombians selected for this program. The program had a total of 26 young peace builders. So it was in India last October, and it was during 10 days. So the idea was that first we received a training in conflict resolution and communication skills and different like topics related to that. And then we had 2 days of audience with Dalai Lama. So for me, it was absolutely incredible first to meet like people or young peace builders that were doing impact in the countries. So I was in a table with young peace builders from Nigeria, in Africa, from South Sudan, from Syria, from Afghanistan, and I was like, I can't believe I'm sharing stories with other peace builders that have suffered the conflict and they really understand what conflict means. And sometimes when you sit down with these people and when they tell you like their stories, sometimes you realize like, wow, I mean, they are in a different moment of a conflict. At least in Colombia, we have been moving forward and we have developed some kind of advance. But then by listening to the stories of Syria, for example, I remember like, wow, like how can I contribute to support like the work that these young peace builders are doing in their countries. So that was like an absolutely experience for me. But the most important is that we became friends with all of them. So we are in contact, in constant contact. And actually, we had a call last week to talk about how COVID is affecting all of our countries, and especially like countries with current conflicts. And it was just incredible. And also just by meeting like Dalai Lama, we have 2 days with him. I remember that when I was growing up, I used to see Dalai Lama in the news, and I was like, oh, Dalai Lama should, like, I don't know, like it should be like a honor to be next to him. That was the thing that I used to think by being a child. And then like years later, I was sitting next to him, and it was like, oh, how crazy is that? And I remember that that when he came into the room, I just feel like I don't know, I have a sensation inside of me, like a peaceful sensation, like I never experienced that before, but it was just amazing to learn from him, and to being able to ask questions, to being able to get those answers that didn't answer questions but quite guide us in our way as a peace builders.
So at
I
least,
also
oh, go on. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, also remember that when he came into the room, he said something that for me, I will never forget that. He said something like, why are you looking at me that way? And all of us were like, what? You and me, we are the same person. 2 eyes, one nose, one mouth. That's all I need to know. So that's like, that action for us was like, wow. I mean, just feeling that all of us, we are just that, human beings. And I think that is the most powerful source that we need to keep in mind, that at the end of the things, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter your nationality, doesn't matter anything. The only thing that matters is that we feel in the same way and that we are human beings.
Exactly, and yeah, you didn't have to kiss his feet or do anything like that, as maybe some other big leaders in the world expect people to do. But I won't go into that, or I'll get myself into trouble. But at least it wasn't the case that, as we say, sometimes when you meet your heroes, you can be disappointed. But you certainly weren't. You were very much impressed and influenced.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about the moment. It was last October in 2019, and he was telling us how, as a leaders, we need to showcase a kindness and compassion. And then 2 months later after that, all the world has to face that. All the world has to need to show how kindness and compassion can lead us to go through this crisis, and how important it is to feel empathy for others and to take actions to solve the current problems that we are living. So for me, it has been just like a really lovely experience meeting him, and so honored to have that opportunity. And now I think it's also a big responsibility, because I need to find a way to keep promoting like peace and trying to make it happen in different regions and different.
Well, you certainly seem to have the right attitude in that regard. And just briefly, then, plans for the future would Get Up and Go Colombia. I mean, obviously, we need to get over this current pandemic, and hopefully it won't go on too long. Maybe early next year we'll begin to see something returning to normality. So what are the exact plans, both for the NGO and for yourself personally?
Yeah, like for the NGO, we really want to increase our operations to other regions in Colombia. So Colombia is the size of France, Spain, and Portugal together. So that's the size of Colombia. It's a big country. And at the moment, we are in Cauca, which is the same size of Northern Ireland, more or less. Okay. So what we want to do is to increase our impact, to being able to go to other regions where we can replicate the model of a kind of sustainable tourism as a tool for peace building. So we really want to extend operations to Nariño, which is close by, that is also affected by the conflict. We want to be able to go to Chocó, to La Guajira, and Meta. That's kind of the purpose. As long as we receive more support, we will be able to do it. So for now, we are just trying to reach as many doors as possible. But it has been quite difficult, because sometimes I feel that sometimes people don't believe that as a young people you're able to do it. So you need to showcase, and you need to prove, and you need to make you visible, and something is quite hard sometimes. But we're positive, and we will keep doing that to see how it goes. And personally, I really want to keep working in this like initiative, but at the same time, I'm expecting to develop other studies in peace building as itself. So I would like to have a second master's in peace building, and in this way being able to combine those elements of tourism and peace building and engineering. So I feel technology is the best way, and technology right now is showing us how important it is to implement activities or initiatives related to that is technology based. So I think that right now, when people ask me like, if you're an engineer, why are you doing tourism? And I think the answer is just like that. I'm an engineer in the tourism sector, and I want to develop new ways to connect people, because that's something that sometimes people think that engineers, they have to be in front of a computer programming and that's all that they can do. But it's not like that. I mean, we are training to provide solutions, but other people just see problems. And I think that is the main purpose of being an engineer. And I feel that I love to see problems that I can solve through tourism and through technology, and that contribute to peace building. So that's my initiative, and I hope to keep moving forward with it.
By the way, when you mentioned between engineering, for me, engineering and civil engineering especially, and the architects, it's like civil engineers in that sense are like the politicians. They've got to make things work functionally and happen. Architects are a bit like journalists, and that's where I compare journalists and politicians. We have the great theory of how things should be, but then when it comes to practical implementation, it's a bit different. That's how I equate the two, the similarities in a sense. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, no, I think that all careers, I think that we have a problem, and sometimes we just think that a human being is just a career. But no, I think that as a person, we have a professional kit, and that professional kit allows us to achieve different goals by having different learning, different knowledge. So, for example, in my case, I say that my professional kit is by having that engineering background combined to the tourism background of the masters, and then combined to the tourism, the peace building knowledge. So I think it's about that, about discovering what is your professional kit and making the best with it.
Yeah, food for thought indeed. Just before we wrap this up then, Luisa, Get Up and Go Colombia, I take it it's on all the social media and you have your own website. So do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. You can find us in all the media like Facebook, Instagram as Get Up and Go Colombia. And also our website at the moment is being developed. I mean, we have the old website,
okay,
but it will be still the same, getupandgocolombia.org. And also I want to say that our region is a region that is so rich in biodiversity that you can see, for example, a condor in a distance of just 5 meters in its natural habitat. And at the same time, we provide almost the 80% of water to the whole country. I mean, Cauca is the source of 5 rivers of Colombia. So just imagine all the mountains and all the elements that make this place as a perfect destination, and especially after lockdown. I think that we really want to be in that place where we can connect with nature, that we can connect with ancestral knowledge, that we can connect with natural elements. And Cauca is definitely the place to do it, as we are a region that is also very diverse in ethnicities. I mean, we have a big amount of indigenous community, also Afro-Colombians, and then the mixed. And it's a population that is more or less equal divided. So that's why it's really interesting to come here and to learn from the indigenous in Sylvia, but also to learn from Marimba with the Pacific. Gorgona, for example, is an island that we have in the region. Maybe Tami also for bird watching is also really nice, or for whale watching.
Whale watching, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's also an incredible destination. So all of you are welcome to come and to support like peace building through tourism.
Yeah, Cauca's got it all. You've sold it to us there, Luisa. And I hope you have a spare bed or a sofa or something, because as soon as we can start traveling again, I'm going to be calling you up and I'm going to make my way down to Popayan. That's my promise. Yeah.
We have an available room.
Excellent, wonderful. Put my name on it. Well, that's Luisa Romero, co-founder of Get Up and Go Colombia. Thanks very much for joining us here on Wrong Ways Colombia Cast. If you want to get in touch with me, you can via the Twitter handle, that's WWay Corrigan, or on Facebook, my page there is Wrong Way Corrigan blog. But until the next time, ciao ciao.